prize at the City University of New York. And when I entered Queens College as a freshman, I had spent 4 years at Francis Lewis High School in Queens in a special education homeroom. And while I met a lot of really cool friends there, I sort of bore the stigma of being in a special education homeroom and being treated differently. And I knew that as strong as I was as a student, when I entered an integrated classroom at my high school at Francis Lewis High School, and I gave my program card to a teacher, they saw the S code stamped on the front of it. And it took me a full week to convince my teachers that I belonged in that class. And I never forgot the sting of being separate and the sting of being treated differently. So when I entered Queens College, the last thing I wanted to do was to be associated with other students with disabilities. I wanted to prove that I belonged on my own. So I did well at Queens College, and I enjoyed my experience, but something really important was missing in my life. I felt an emptiness that I couldn't quite describe or couldn't fully and appropriately articulate. And it was only when I found a student organization for students with disabilities at Queens College that I felt at home on my campus, that I felt complete, that I felt like I belonged. And I came to understand that it was because this was my community, this was my family, and this is where I was able to achieve my full sense of self. Because I realized that I was hanging out with and enjoying college life with and advocating with and agitating with other people who were just like me, who understood my struggle, who understood my story, where no explanation was necessary. And I realized that for people who didn't share that same experience, that for people who weren't students with disabilities, not only was no explanation necessary, but none was possible. Because no matter how hard they tried, they didn't share the lived experience of disability. And qualitatively, it meant a difference. And I knew that when I was among my peers with disabilities, that we were a part of a movement, that we were part of a community, that we were part of a culture comprised and formed by people who are actively redefining what it meant to be an individual with a disability, transforming it from the stigma and the shame that had been typically associated with a disability experience to a group of people who were finding pride in their shared identity as individuals with disabilities, who were demanding equal access and opportunity, and who were transforming the way that people understood the disability experience in my CUNY classes and beyond. And I was proud early on that organization of students at Queens College, I was proud to know that we weren't alone. That when we started spreading the word, we realized that, there was an organization that existed 10 years before we did at Brooklyn College, so fed up. And there was an organization for students with disabilities, the Soda Club, at Queensborough Community College. And we realized that we weren't alone, that there were all these students and all these student organizations who were experiencing the same thing, the same kind of exclusion, the same kind of stigma, and who were turning all that on their heads by the advocacy that they were doing on their campuses. And there were some student leaders who said, wouldn't it be great if we got us all together? And we formed a Congress of organizations, CUNY organizations, of students with disabilities. And that organization, CCSD, first got together in the fall of 1989. And I was proud to sit at a table just like this, very similar to this, at the CUNY Graduate Center. The first ever meeting of the CUNY Coalition for Students with Disabilities. And we were all so jazzed to be there. Not because we knew what we were doing, because we had no idea what we were doing, right? But it was just so cool to meet all other student leaders with disabilities from across CUNY campuses. It was before the internet, and it was before email, right? We didn't even know each other existed. It was all through word of mouth. And we got together in one room, and we instantly bonded with each other. And we knew that we were part of something bigger than ourselves. And we said, wouldn't it be cool if we could get together and advocate for the things that we agreed were important and make our university more accessible?